So my name is Dwayne Baker, and I'm with TD Williamson at this point in time. But the best practice came from another company that I work for. And who's from Shell? Anybody from Shell? All right, I'm going to say a little bit about Shell, but I'm not going to give it all away. Okay. So what we were looking at was gaining, what else did I say? Oh, best practice. Gaining management support, okay? So that's a pretty big challenge for investigations and the methodology and the buy-in for management to give you the time and to give you the team and to give you the money and the resources to do investigations, especially important investigations. So when I went to work for Shell, I was actually a consulting contractor, and I stayed at Shell for 4 years. And during about a 2-year period, we developed this process. And what it was is we wrote, I was instrumental in writing a incident investigation management framework. Okay? And of course, working with the Shell team. And what did that mean? That meant we said, this is what we will take a look at. How do you define it? Where you get the information? What are the important things related to operations and how we tie that together into an investigation? There's a lot more to it, but I only have so much time. So, and then we took that procedure and we asked the vice presidents of the Wells Group around the globe to sign that procedure. They authorized that management framework for investigations. And that framework included terms of reference. So if we had an incident investigation that we were going to use TapRooT on, and by the way, it wasn't really being used very well in Shell, we said, okay, we need a terms of reference and we need an executive sponsor, and typically one of the vice presidents that signed off on that procedure was the executive sponsor for the investigation. And we asked them, help us identify the investigation team members that you want to second to this investigation. And typically, the executive sponsor was a VP in that region. Okay, and he said, okay, I want you to go get these guys. And we also, as a part of the investigation management framework, we wanted to know who were the reviewer stakeholders, so a level up from the investigation team, maybe two in the organization, to review the output of the investigation team to determine if we understood it well based off the conditions and facts that we brought into the TapRooT methodology. And we would get agreement or some tweaks or changes or whatever. But one of the things that, and there's a gentleman here that can back me up on this, but one of the things we did, since it was Shell and they were the operator, this terms of reference was in the contract with the suppliers. So the suppliers had to provide the same kind of effort, the same kind of team, and that kind of stuff to solve the problem. So it was not only Shell at the operator level; it was the drilling contractors and also the suppliers of components. All right. So we had this big investigation. So what happened was, with that terms of reference, we understood what we were supposed to deliver, who the lead facilitator or investigation facilitator was. In that case, it was me. And then who was going to be reviewers and who was going to approve it in the end. And one of the other things that we tried to do with the corrective actions is not be prescriptive, which is something we go through smart corrective actions. You want to do smart corrective actions? The smart corrective action was the process that the owner of the corrective action went through. What I did is said the corrective action was, there is a requirement in our industry. We have regulatory requirements, API Q1, other types of standards, API 1163 for the company I work for now, and it says, in this particular instance, the root cause proves that we did not comply with this particular standard, and therefore we need to, and you guys need to go make sure that we comply to this with your corrective action. So that was supportive, and because people don't like to be told how to go do corrective action. They want to do it in the right methodology, but they don't want you to be prescriptive because I'm not responsible for that area. So that turned out to be the best practice for that organization, and I'm trying to now roll this out with the company I'm with now. Thank you.